I'm Greg Galecki, a certified financial planner with Galecki Financial Management. We are a fee-only financial planning firm in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Today I want to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program that was put into place with the CARES Act that was passed on Friday, March the 27th, 2020. Today is Monday, April 6, 2020. We had all of last week to go through the 800 pages of that act to try to determine what is real and what isn't. Last week, the Small Business Administration changed and revised their instructions 3 different times. The SBA will revise their instructions after I do this video. Today I'm going to talk about who qualifies for these loans, when to apply, where to apply, what expenses qualify, and we're going to talk about how to use the loan payments and how the loan is forgiven. That's the Holy Grail, to take out a loan and have it fully forgiven. And what happens to the part of the loan that isn't forgiven. To begin with, you qualify for the loan if you're a small business with less than 500 employees, full-time and part-time. You could be an S Corp, an LLC, or even a sole proprietorship. Next, you apply for the loan as soon as possible. You have to apply by June the 30th, 2020. There's $349 billion allocated to this program. First come, first serve. So get your application in as soon as possible. You can apply to any bank or credit union. Here's the reality. Some banks and some credit unions do not work with the SBA. Other banks that do not have a relationship with you already will not work with you. There's a lot of people that will be applying for these loans. The banks are going to work with their current customers. They've already said so. On a $300,000 loan, the bank will get paid 5%, $15,000. On a $10,000 loan, the bank will also get 5%, $500. Which customers do you think the banks want to work with first? Talk to your banker as soon as possible. What expenses qualify? Your expenses for the last 12 months that qualify are all of your payroll costs. That's your normal payroll to full-time and part-time employees. You cannot include the payroll for any person over $100,000. You can include their payroll up to $100,000, but not in excess of $100,000. You can include all of your FICA and Medicare taxes that you, as the employer, have paid. You can also include all of the group health insurance that you, as the employer, have paid, and all of the retirement plan contributions that you've paid. Safe harbor contributions, 401k, matching contributions, profit sharing contributions. Then there's some other minor items that probably don't come into play for too many people and probably are not that significant. You take those expenses, add them up for the last 12 months, which at this time would be April 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2020. Divide it by 12. That's your average monthly expense. Multiply it by 2.5. That's the amount that you can get as a loan if you certify that this loan is necessary for the your ongoing business concern, given these uncertain times. You can use the loan in the first 8 weeks if you want it forgiven. In the first 8 weeks that you receive the loan, you must use it for your payroll. 75% of it must be used for payroll to full-time and part-time employees. The other 25% can be used for rent or interest on your mortgage for your business or on any business loan that you had in place before February 15th, 2020. Again, that's only on the interest portion of those loans. You can also use it for your utilities. Now the question comes, how is the loan forgiven? This is tricky, and this will be revised because some of it isn't yet properly explained. You have to count your full-time employees. What's a full-time employee? Is it 32 hours, 36 hours? They haven't said yet. But it's the number of full-time employees that you have from February 15th of this year through June 30th. If that number is equal to or greater than the number of full-time employees that you had a year ago at the same time, February 15th through June 30th, 2019, then you qualify for forgiveness on the amount of payroll you make between February 15th and June 30th of this year. Or if the number of full-time employees you have during this period I've talked about is greater than the number of full-time employees January 1 through February 15 of this year. So you have two options. Your full-time employees have to be equal or greater than the same time last year or the first month and a half of this year. Furthermore, you can only include the compensation that you pay to people that is at least 75% in the second quarter of this year, April 1 through June 30th, as the compensation you gave the same person in the first quarter of this year. So if you paid Joe in the first quarter $10,000 and you paid Joe $8,000 in the second quarter, you're fine. You can deduct all $8,000 that you can be forgiven for all $8,000 that you paid him in the second quarter. But if you only paid Joe $6,000, that's $1,500 less than you're supposed to pay him, or that you paid in the first quarter. Then that $1,500, $7,500 minus $6,000, is not forgivable in your loan. You can also be forgiven for wages you give to tip employees if you're a restaurant. That's how it's forgiven. Those rules you'll be given further instructions, especially for what qualifies for a full-time employee. Consider, you had a person that you paid $10,000 to in the first quarter. In the second quarter, she left on maternity leave. Do you get dinged for that? Do you get not forgiven for that part of the loan? I don't know that answer yet. It's most important that you go out and apply for the loan immediately. Talk to your banker. Get the application rolling. It's only a 2-page application. It's not very difficult to fill it out. However, to calculate all of your payroll and your payroll costs, your payroll taxes and group insurance, that's cumbersome for the last year. Now, after you've used all the proceeds for the loan, and I recommend that you set up a new and separate business account strictly for those loan proceeds. Do not put any new money into it. Just use it for your payroll and your rent and your other qualifying expenses, and then close the account out. Because one day you may have to show the government how you used those funds, and you want a clean paper trail. Any money that is left over and can't be forgiven, you have to pay back to the SBA, even though you've already used it, paying rent and paying your mortgage interest. The SBA will come back and say a certain portion of that loan was not forgiven. That money you owe back to the SBA over the course of the next 2 years. The interest rate is fixed at 1%. Your payments for the first 6 months are forgiven, they're deferred. Good luck to you. Get to your bank immediately. Stay safe, stay healthy. Come back to this channel. Hopefully we'll have more information for you. Have a good day.